So Savitri has read out chapter after chapter of the life divine to Yama, but those chapters don't make any impact on him. She has chanted aloud the hymn of bliss, the Ananda Sukta, but then that hymn falls on deaf ears. He remains untouched. It is a kind of a stalemate now for Savitri. She is not really able to win over Yama, win over death. Now, as far as death is concerned, he is least bothered because his job is done. The soul of Satyavan is in his possession and he doesn't care about anything else at all. But Savitri, in other words, for Yama at this point, it is not a question of his life and death. What he has, and nobody can take it away from him, whatever you might say. But for Savitri, it is a question of life. She has to win over death. She has to win over death. So she is facing a kind of an obstacle, a block in her approach towards Yama, towards death. She has to win. And therefore, all those readings from the life divine or reading the Upanishadic Sukta are of no avail to her at this point. See. Now, as a side question, what does that all mean? Sri Aurobindo wrote Life Divine. He revised extensively after his accident in 1940-41 and brought out that 1,000-page volume, the magnum opus of his prose writings. What is the value of that? If it cannot win over death, then what is the purpose it is going to serve? We might extend the argument also and say he has spent so much time, so much effort, so much concentration was there on Savitri. He called it as my main work. Savitri as his main work. Is Savitri as a book, as a revelation, as a power, going to win over death? Life divine, we have seen in the arguments of Savitri, no, it is not going to win over death. Is Savitri also going to be that? It is, one might say, a bold question, one might say a prudent question, one might say an arrogant question, one might say a question of ignorance. Is Savitri going to win over death? The straightforward answer is no. All the answers are there in it, but they are not going to win over death. The mother has to do the yoga or physical transformation in spite of the presence of Savitri. That is important. The yoga is important. She has to do the yoga of transformation. All the help is available from Savitri. Whatever is required, still to win over an occult power, You have to do the yoga. So let's not imagine that by reading Savitri we will win over death. By reading Life Divine, we will conquer death. We had to do our own yoga tapasya to acquire that power to counter the obstacle. What Savitri does, what the Life Divine does, is to give you all the necessary power required to do that yoga. But the imperative of doing yoga is there always. It has to be done by us, you see. So don't say, don't think, don't imagine that look, this is there and it will help me in every respect. You have to do yoga. So Savitri has now reached a point where something else has got to be done, not Life Divine. At that time, of course, Savitri was not written. So she has to do something else. And that is the secret, that is the great movement, that is the crux of the entire book 10. She will argue, she will do this thing, etc. But ultimately, she has to come to a kind of a physical necessity to do something else apart from all this. All the other things are dismissed immediately. But oh, you are a priestess of imagination. You are this, you are that. You are mentalizing. You are bound by thoughts and all that kind of. He will immediately dismiss them, emotional and all that thing. But then something has to come out from her soul now, which will be able to prevail over death. And that is what we are seeing here. In the last part of this canto, that is the real turning point in the entire dialogue, entire encounter of Savitri with death. But Savitri replied to mighty death, "O dark, ironic critic of God's work, thou mockst the mind and body's pottering surge. For what the heart holds in a prophet hour, and the immortal spirit shall make its own." So suddenly something else is happening in Savitri. Some other spirit is now opening out and speaking through her, through him, Savitri. Mine is a heart. She now kind of does self-analysis, what she is up to. Mine is a heart that worshipped, though forsaken the image of the God, its love adored. I kept aside the image and all that. I have burned in the flame to travel in his steps. So I have passed through the fire test of accompanying Satyavan, my lover, my partner of life, my companion, through the ages to do the divine work here, and bore all the difficulties, the anguish, the problems. I have crossed, I have passed what is called the Agni Pariksha, the fire test. I have successfully passed. Are we not they who bore vast solitude seated upon the hills alone with God? What do they do sitting alone upon the hills in the vast solitude? What do? They invoke the presence of God in this creation against all the possibilities of attack, of hostilities which are prevalent here. Are we not they who bore vast solitude, seated upon the hills, alone with God? They who bore vast solitude. We have absolutely no idea what kind of work they were doing in that solitude. No biography can present that work of theirs. Seated upon the hills alone with God. Why dost thou vainly strive with me, O death? So obviously even death is not aware of what they were doing all along through the ages, since the beginning, since the arrival since their arrival on the mental scene here. Why dost thou vainly strive with me, O death, a mind delivered from all twilight thought, to whom the secrets of the gods are plain? A mind delivered from all twilights of thoughts. In the case of the mother, she was delivered from all thoughts on 29th March 1914, the moment she met Sri Aurobindo. Her mind became silent. Her mind became silent. When they met, that is what she realized, silent mind. Sri Aurobindo simply passed it on to her. Silent. She was open and she could receive the silent mind. And since then, the silent mind always remained with her. Always. It was not by mental processes of thinking and all that, but in the silent mind, she would get revelation, she would get knowledge, she would get whatever is required to be done for her work. You see, silent mind. From all twilight thought, in fact, on 29th March 1914, that was the first gift Sri Aurobindo gave to the mother of silent mind. The last gift he gave to her was 5th December 1950, the mind of light. The mind of light was the last gift he gave to her, and it is that which became the basis of her work for the physical transformation. To whom the secrets, once she has got that, obviously all the secrets of the God become plain. Everything becomes obvious, transparent to her. For now at last I know beyond all doubt, the great stars burn with my unceasing fire, and life and death are both his fuel made. So the faggots which feed the stars are life and death. They are the fuel to make the stars burn. But it is my unceasing fire. It is that which makes the stars burn. My unceasing fire. Because of that, the stars burn. And that fire is sustained by both life and death. Death has an equally important part in the scheme of things, and it is that which makes stars burn, life. Stars burn with my unceasing fire. In the Divine Comedy, the last line is, love that moved the sun and other stars. That is the last line of Divine Comedy, Dante's. Love that makes move the sun and other stars. It is on the power of love that the sun and the stars burn. But actually, this aspect of death, making them burn, is missed there. Love comes as the last thing. Before that is the process of life and death which makes the stars burn. And then Savitri makes a tremendous revelation. In fact, this itself is a tremendous revelation. At last I know beyond all doubt, the great stars burn with my unceasing fire, and life and death are both his will made. As I said last time, this is important. Now at last I know. Until now, she was not aware that it was her fire, unceasing fire, which was making the stars burn. So the contribution of death in the knowledge of Savitri is that it is because of him she has realized that yes, it is my own fire which is making them burn. So in a certain sense, we can say that this knowledge to Savitri, this revelation to Savitri has come because of the obstinacy of death. She sees its importance in the whole scheme of things. Now, at last, I know. This should not have come, this now would not have come in the absence of this event. And life and death are both his fuel made. Life only was my blind attempt to love. Until now, I was only counting upon life. And only through life, I was attempting to love. But then, that was a struggle. That was only a half attempt. Life only was my blind attempt to love. Earth saw my struggle. Heaven, my victory. Because of life only. All shall be seized, transcended. They shall kiss, casting their veils before the marriage fire, the eternal bridegroom and eternal bride. The heavens accept our broken flights at last on our life's prow that break the waves of time. No signal light of hope has gleamed in vain. Well, about this particular thing, about these two lines particularly, let us read what Mother has said. I have already sent you the material, but we will quickly see some of those things. Very beautiful. In fact, she is the one who has pointed out the importance of these two lines, Mother. The great stars burn with my unceasing fire, and life and death are both its fuel made. Life only was my blind attempt to love. Earth saw my struggle, heaven my victory. She says, that is Savitri says, Mother is telling, Savitri says, life and death are the fuel. Then, in my blind attempt, life only was my attempt to love. Only through life I was attempted to love. The Mother later stressed again, it is not life was only, but life only. Because my attempt to love was blind. I limited it to life, but I won the victory in death. This is what she is doing now here. It is in death that she is winning the victory. In life alone she would not have. When that death occurs, then is really the victory won. And therefore, go back again to the last line of the first canto. This was the hour when Satyavan must die, must die. It is only through that must die that the victory can be won. Living alone is not going to win the victory. He must die, then the victory is won on life. Because my attempt to love was blind, I limited it to life. But I won the victory in death. She says it is very interesting. It is interesting that because of death, that she has won the victory. Therefore, Sri Aurobindo must withdraw to win victory over death. He must withdraw, you see. In fact, the Mother makes a very, for us, very bold kind of a statement. by saying that Sri Aurobido's presence was proving an obstacle for transformation. Yeah, yeah. His presence, his being there was proving an obstacle in the process of transformation. Because ultimately what has to happen is the physical body has to respond. It is that which, if something is coming down and if Shivantu is absorbing that, then the physical body is not able to open itself to it. The cells have the power, they must have the power to open themselves directly to the Supreme. Shivantu is there, okay, no, it's not good. He is receiving all that and then transmitting, so to say, to the physical. But then the physical must open directly to that light which is coming down. So she says that in a way, his presence was proving a kind of a block for that thing to happen, and therefore it was necessary for him to withdraw. So that the physical is totally exposed to the mercies of all the circumstances, including the power which is coming down, you see. Then the real opening, the spontaneity of the process of transformation can occur. So the incarnate divine is an obstacle, you see, in a certain sense.
What about his work then?
Huh?
What about Sharuda's work?
Shivantu, he didn't need anything for himself. He had everything, whatever he wanted. He was not doing anything for himself at all. Whatever he wanted, he already had. He was doing it for this creation, to carry out God's work. And therefore, first thing is, he has brought down the power into his physical, made things possible. Now the physical has to open out. Therefore, withdraw. That is the spontaneity of the creation from below opening to the supreme above. It's not only from the pressure from above trying to bring out something from below. This has to open out. See, you have to say, you can say, my body, you can pray. You can call the mother and say, let thy peace be established in the physical cells. That is a prayer. Let thy peace be established in the cells of the body. You can keep on saying, let thy peace be established in the cells of the body. Okay, 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 that's a good thing. But then that must be complemented by saying, the cell saying, let thy peace, let me be open to your peace, to thy peace. The cell should say, cry, pray, let me open myself to your peace. The cells have to cry and open out and say, you can say, let the peace come down and establish in the physical. But the physical has to say, let me open myself to you and receive your peace, your light, your love, your beauty, your joy, whatever you want to call it, you see. So it is a complementary, coming down from above and working here, and this opening from below and offering itself for that working is the important thing. So the second phase is the most important thing, this opening out from below to the above. And that is the entire transition. So there you can see now the real role of death. It has to come out. Okay, let's read what Mother says here further. Earth saw my struggle, heaven my victory. I limited to life, I won the victory in death. Yet earth could see the victory should be on earth. Should it be? Yes. Yes, but she couldn't win the victory on earth because she lacked heaven. She could not win the victory in life because she lacked death and she had to conquer death. Death in order to conquer life. That's the idea. Unless we conquer death, the victory isn't won. Death must be vanquished. There must be no more death. That's very clear. According to what he says in Savitri Sri, it is the principle of love that is transformed into flame. Here, about this one. According to what he says here, it is the principle of love that is transformed into flame and finally into light. So, love becomes flame and light. It is in the principle of light that is transformed into flame when it materializes. It is the flame that is transformed into light. The great stars give light because they burn. They burn because they are under the effect of love. Love would be the original principle. Not light, not fire, love. There again, you get now the proper justification to Dante's line, love that makes move the sun and other stars, in the ultimate sense. That seems to be what he is saying. I didn't remember this passage. Mother says after all that thing, you see. She has read Savitri, but she doesn't remember this passage. But I told you my experience of 13th April 1962, when the great pulsation was flowing into her, is that the last thing as one rises, the last thing beyond light, beyond consciousness, beyond, the last thing that reaches is love. One, this one is the I don't know. According to the experience, is the last thing to manifest now in its purity. And it is one that has the transforming power. It is that which has the power of transformation. That's what it appears to be saying here. The victory of love seems to be the final victory, and so on. You see. But basically, this is the crucial passage in the whole of the dialogue. In fact, I will say the crucial stage is here. Life alone not sufficient. Life and death are both is well made. The heavens accept our broken flights at last. On our lies proud breaks waves of time. No signal light of hope has gleamed in vain. No signal light of hope has gleamed in vain. Yes, death is there. It is not there for nothing. Death is there not for nothing. No signal light of hope has gleamed in vain. He is contributing in a certain sense. She spoke, well, that is the final statement she makes after chanting the hymn of Ananda and all that, you see. She spoke, the boundless members of the God, as if by secret ecstasy assailed, shuddered in silence, as obscure star, ocean dim, she delivered to the moon. As if by secret ecstasy assailed, shuddered in silence, as obscure star, oceans dim fields delivered to the moon. The boundless members of the God. Who is this God? The God. Of course, death. This God is death. So, the infinity of his members, of his body, his physical existence, whatever you call it, it shudders because of her utterance. There is so much of power that it feels its impact even in its physical. That power, no signal light is open. In other words, the hymn of Ananda is not going to make him move at all. It is this utterance which really stirs him up. You see. The boundless members, the infinity of God is expressed by saying boundless members. As if by secret ecstasy, so it is a secret ecstasy for him. He had never experienced this kind of happiness, so to say, when she utters that. When she utters that. Now that is the real beginning of Savitri's victory over death. Until now it was all right, all right, all right, all right. But he shudders, he feels, he experiences the impact of her utterance. As if by secret ecstasy assailed, shuddered in silence, as obscured is stir, oceans a dim face delivered to the moon. So the moon is shining above and is heaving up with joy, so to say. The tides are rising. See. Then lifted up as by sudden wind around her in that vague and glimmering world, the twilight trembled like a bursting veil. So the whole atmosphere now kind of trembles because of her speech. So if this God can be touched, can feel that ecstasy of her utterance, then the entire atmosphere also feels that, you see. Then lifted up as by sudden wind around her in that vague and glimmering world, the twilight trembled like a bursting veil. So with that, the main theme is presented, but now there is a shift, there is a break, paragraph is there now. There is a paragraph break now, you see. Thus, with the poet is now entering into the picture and is narrating the rest of the sequence. Thus, with arms speeched, the great opponents strove. He is tracing the entire argument and summarizing now what he has to say. Around those spirits in the glittering mist, a deepening half-light fled with pearly wings as if to reach some far ideal morn. Around those spirits, all the three, the glittering mist, a deepening half-light fled with pearly wings, so bright glimmering wings, whole thing, as if to reach some far ideal morn. So from the twilight, the movement is now towards the ideal morn. Outlined her thoughts flew to the gleaming haze, mingling bright pinion with its light and veil, lies and veil. And all her words, like dazzling jewel, caught into the glow of her mysterious world, or tricked in the rainbow shifting hues, like echoes swung fainting into far sound, like echoes swung fainting into far sound. Very poetic line, very beautiful line. Like echoes swam, like echoes swam fainting into far sound. Like echoes swam fainting into far sound. This is the I am, like echoes swam, second I am, fainting, trochee, into trochee, far sound, again an I am. Far sound can call it spondy also. So you have got two ams, two trochees, and a spondy, so to say. All utterance, all mood must have. In fact, it's a very beautiful line. I like it. Like echoes swam fainting into far sound. You see, it's on reverberating. You see, all utterance, all mood must there become an unenduring tissue sewn by mind to make a gossamer robe of beautiful change. Intent upon a silent will, she walked on the dim grass of vague, unreal plain, a floating veil of vision in her front, a trailing robe of dreams behind her feet. So now Savitri is moving forward still with that utterance. This man has shuddered, the twilight has shuddered, the impact is kind of already felt. But Savitri, what she herself felt with that utterance, that is not disclosed to her. And, but it is very clear. She has uttered that thing. Life only was my blind attempt. She has uttered that sentence. She herself, this man feels ecstasy now in his secret members. The whole world all around feels a kind of a sudden impact of that utterance. What does Savitri feel? She herself. The moment she has uttered that thing, she has kind of gained enormous self-confidence. Yes, now it is one. The victory is won. That kind of confidence has already entered into her. Victory is won. And therefore, intent upon a silent will. Her will is there now, silently, and she is carrying that will now forward. And with that will, she is moving through the whole landscape, through the whole place, you see. Intent upon her silent will. She walked in the dim grass of vague and unreal plains, etc., etc. But now, yes, that intention has been established, but now that intention has to acquire a kind of a yogic power to become effective. Simply intent is not enough. Something has got to be done now in a concrete manner that victory is won. Intent upon has to be translated in the form of realizable action and a realized action and the result. Intent upon a silent will she walked on the dim grass. But now her spirit's flame of conscient force, her spirit's flame of conscient force. She is a conscient force and a spirit's flame with that intention retires from a sweetness. Without fruit, she was arguing, but there was no fruit at all so far. Retires from a sweetness without fruit, call back her thoughts from speech to sit within in a deep room in meditation's house. In a deep room in meditation's house. So she has now stopped talking, arguing, saying anything to Yama at all. She is now withdrawing into herself because that intent, will which is there, now has to acquire a kind of an occult strength to be effective. Retiring from a sweetness without fruit, call back her thoughts. Thoughts are useless. So she is calling them back, you see. Her thoughts. From speech to sit within in a deep room in meditation's house. Now this is the house of Savitri's meditation. House of meditation. Meditation's house. This is the most significant development in Savitri. Savitri has asserted that death and life both are fuels. And now she has kind of won the victory, and now she must be effective in that thing. She must acquire kind of a strength within her. So everything is taught, mind, everything. In fact, it's what happened in the case of the mother. When her yoga or transformation was becoming so intense that she said, mind, you can go back. You must go back. Vital, she has sent them back. So that only the physical is remaining there to open to the divine power and divine intensity and divine force and divine light. Only they remain there, you see. So she withdraws, call back thoughts from speech to sit within in a deep room in meditation's house. For only there could dwell the soul's firm truth. There, where? In Savitri's house of meditation. Within her heart, within her soul, there is a mansion, and in that mansion, there is a meditation room. It is in that meditation room, she is retiring now in that mansion. Only there could dwell the soul's firm truth. Only in the meditation's room. You see, that is important. Imperishable, a tongue of sacrifice. It flamed unquenched upon the central hearth, where burns for the high house lord and his maid, the home's a sentinel and witness fire, from which the altars of the gods are lit. What a sweeping statement. The 6 lines, terrific, you see. In fact, that is the whole occult thing. I would say these few sentences, starting from what Savitri asserted, life only was till this 104. They are the real crux of the yogic, occult yogic Savitri. The entire occult yogic process is fixed here. Savitri has the knowledge now that no, life and death both are necessary to win the victory. She has won the victory. Her intention is clear. Now that intention has to become effective to realize it. And therefore she enters into her house of meditation. She withdraws and goes and meditates. Meditation's house. In Mahabharata Savitri, the original Savitri, Sanskrit text, there is no book of yoga there. It does not exist there at all, you see. But then there is one single phrase which summarizes, which tells, which indicates that she has been doing yoga. He has not expanded, explained and all that kind of a thing. But one phrase is there which says, yes, she was engaged in yoga. And the phrase is, she is described as an expert, an adept in the yoga of meditation. Savitri, an adept in the yoga of meditation. Dhyana yoga parayana, dhyana yoga, yoga of meditation, parayana, adept, expert in that thing. See, the background is Savitri has done what is described in the Mahabharata story, the vow of 3 nights of standing at a single place constantly for 3 days and 3 nights without moving from that place at all, you see. She has done that vow, completed the vow. Now the day of Satyavan's death has dawned. She gets up early morning, she does all her pujas, worships, whatever, and gets ready. And she goes to all the elders in the hermitages there and offers them her respects to them, to her parents-in-law, to the rishis, to the sages, to all those great people who are there in that conclave, in that hermitage grove. She goes to them and she bows to them and seeks their blessings. He is about to go along with Satyavan to the forest where he will die, you see. And then they don't know what is happening. None of them know. But she goes there, she offers her worship to them, respects to them, and they say, they all utter to her, all the great rishis utter here, let your life be without widowhood. Means you be the mother of a large number of children, and your husband will be always living. That is the kind of a blessing they give. Saubhagyavati bhava. Saubhagya means let be auspicious thing be always to you, bhava. Let them be always to you. Saubhagyavati. Let you be the possessor of auspicious things always. They utter these blessings to her, and she carries those words in her meditation, ponders on them, broods them, and keeps them intact in her soul. And therefore they say, Dhyana Yoga Prayana, she is there, she is absorbing those words and putting them in her soul. So that meditation house, Dhyana Yoga, is the only link between this and that, you see. In a deep room in meditation's house. Now, she enters into that house of meditation. In her own soul, there is a house there. And what does she see there? She sees something wonderful, most wonderful. For only there could dwell the soul's form to imperishable, a tongue of sacrifice. In that meditation's house, there is a constant sacrifice going on. Yajna, the fire altar is burning there all the while. In her soul, the fire altar is burning. A tongue of sacrifice is flamed unquenched upon the central hearth. So that is the altar fire which is constantly burning within her soul, you see. And what happens there? There burns for the high house lord and his mate, the homestead sentinel and witness fire. Now, he is describing two Agnis, sentinel and witness fire. Yeah, sentinel, one who is guarding the yajna, the fire who guards it, protects it. Witness, who is sakshi, who is observing it. Witness. Sakshi. Witness, fire, yeah. So, it is that Agni who is the witness, who is also the guardian. He is burning that constantly in that yajna of Savitri. See. Home state. It is in her house that fire is burning. Hearth, central hearth, he says. So she sees in her soul within, in that meditation's house, in her soul, in that house, she sees a constant flame burning, that flame burning and guarding and protecting her in every respect, you see. From which, it is that flame from which the altars of the gods are lit. So that is the power of Savitri's yajna. It is from that flame that the altars of the gods are also lit, you see. It is a kind of a transcendental yajna which is keeping alive, which is keeping kindled all the other yajnas performed by gods. You see. Savitri yajna alone is doing that kind of a thing. You see. So this is a fire which is in a way much bigger than the fire which burns in the stars. Even the gods, their altars are also lit by that. For only there could dwell the soul's firm truth, imperishable, a tongue of sacrifice, the flames are leaping, tongues of flame leaping. It flame unquenched, it can never be stopped. It constantly keeps on burning there upon the central heart. Means the fire is constantly being fed, it's burning constantly. Where burns for the high house lord and his mate. Now, house lord and his. See, basically, okay, let's see, house lord and his mate first. When a yajna is being done, in household yajnas or anywhere, The priests are chanting the mantras and you say swaha, swaha, keep on pouring oblations into the fire constantly there. And the yajna is being done by the house owner and his spouse together. See, house lord and his maid. They are what we call in Sanskrit yajamana and yajamanina. The house lord and his wife. They are performing the yajna together. See, normally she sits on the left side of him, and then they together keep on offering the fire offerings to the fire. See, so that is the house lord and his mate. They are constantly offering, making offerings to the fire. See. Now, in the case of Savitri, she sees the fire burning, the sacrifice going on, and there is the Yajman and Yajmanin. In the case of Savitri, who is the house lord? Who is doing the performance? Who is performing the yajna? Who is she who is performing with him the yajna? In the case of Savitri. Obviously, it is she herself and Satwan who are there together constantly making offerings within the soul of Savitri, you see. They together are constantly making offerings to the fire, you see. Satyavan and Savitri. In the normal traditional course, it is the house owner and his wife, they perform. Here, the two are this. But here not mentioned that thing. Traditionally, we could also say that the real performer of yajna is fire god himself. Fire god is offering oblations, ahutis to the fire. Agni, as a god, he is making offerings in the yajna. And his spouse, his companion, Swaha, Agni and Swaha, together, mate, his mate, they are making offerings to the Agni, to the fire. We could say it is Ishvara and Ishwari, the divine Lord and the divine lady, they are offering, making offerings to the yajna, Ishvara and Ishwari to the fire. Where burns for the high house lord, Ishvara and Ishwari. So we have got already three, Satyavan and Savitri, or Agni and Swaha, or Ishvara and Ishwari. But are they high enough? Enough. Yeah, because it's a question of now meeting with death. See, that high has to be weighed in the context of death. You see, he is not going to oblige anybody else. You see, it is the Supreme Being Himself, which is consciousness force, the Adya Shakti and Mahapurusha, the Divine Being and his force Adya Shakti. Adya Shakti. Sat Purusha. Sat Purusha and Adya Shakti. It is they who are really making offerings to Agni. Constantly in the soul of Savitri, that yajna is burning constantly, going on constantly, and the Satpurusha, the truth being and consciousness for Adya Shakti, primal being, they are making these offerings to yajna. Where burns for the house lord and his maid, the home is a sentinel fire, from which It is because of them, of Satpurusha and Adya Shakti, that the altars of God are lit. Because of them. You see. So such a big yajna, the cosmic yajna, the original yajna, it is that original yajna, the primal yajna. It is that yajna which is constantly going on in the soul of Savitri, in her house of meditation which is there. She retires into that house and she sees the burning, the Agni burning, the blazing up like that, you see. And there it happens, you see. In the Ramayana, there is a description of yajna. See, the battle is there. Ravana and Rama, they are going to fight. Before that, he performs the yajna, Rama. And then he becomes ready to fight with Ravana, you see, in the Ramayana. Now, at that point, he is offering, according to the traditional story, he is offering lotuses to the fire, Agni. But then they fell short of one lotus. He removes his eye and offers it. Rajiva Lochanam, lotus, and makes the offering. And then the gods are pleased. And, and the yajna is performed. And the next day, then he wins the victory over Ravana. So that is the power of yajna. That is the traditional power of yajna. It means you have to really give up your sight, your thoughts, your ideas, your imagination. Nothing matters. It is only that when you are totally surrendered yourself totally to that Agni, then the Agni blesses you and gives you the victory, you see. Gives you the victory then, you see. So that is the moment which has arrived in the life of Savitri, from which the altars of gods are lit. All still compelled. So naturally, I have sent you a lot of material. A big article is there, you see, on House of Meditation. So if you find time, whenever you get time, you can quickly go through them, you see. But this is the turning point in Savitri. This is the turning point. It was all right until now, but the real occult moment has come. The occult moment has come. And the impact of that occult moment is what we see in these two instances here. Life only was my blind attempt, and this house of meditation in Savitri's soul. These are the most crucial elements in the entire sequence, from which the altars of the gods are led. Naturally, suddenly there is change. All still compelled went gliding on unchanged. Still was the order of this world reversed. Now, well, things are going on. They have to go on. It will have its own effect. But already a change has taken place. But still was the order of this world's reversed. The entire sequence of operation, what was leading until now, has to be kept behind. Falsehood was the leader. He has to stay back. It has to change. Somebody else. Truth has to become the leader of the march. You see. Still was the order of these worlds reversed, and he describes very beautifully here now. Most dramatic result of that yajna, which was going on, which is constantly going on in the soul of Savitri. The mortal led. It is Savitri now who has taken the role of a leader. Everything is now in her command. What she will do, it is that which will be followed. The mortal led. The God and spirit obeyed. The God Yama. Spirit, the spirit of Satyavan. They had to obey now her. And how? And she behind was leader of their march. See, the procession was going on, the spirit of Satyavan, death, behind them, Savitri. Between Savitri and the spirit of Satyavan is standing death. Savitri is back. Now from behind, she is the leader of the march. She is driving now. She is at the wheels now, so to say, from behind. And she behind was the leader of their march, and they in front were followers of her will. Whatever she says, they had to follow now. You see, that is the power of yajna. That is the power of yajna. See how logically, beautifully the whole thing has been developed. You see, onward they journey to the drifting waves, vaguely companioned by the glimmering mist. But faster now all fled, as if perturbed, escaping from the clearness of her soul. So the power, the beauty, the purity, the glow of the soul is such that they are as if moving faster now away from her, you see. Because the yajna has kindled her soul fully. Onward they journey to the drifting waves, vaguely companioned with a glimmering image, but faster now. All fled as if perturbed, escaping from the clearness of her soul. A heaven bird upon 12 wings of wind, borne like a colored and embosomed fire, by spirits carried in a pearl-hued cave, on through the enchanted dimness moved her soul. On through the enchanted dimness moved her soul. Death walked in front of her, and Satyavan, in the dark front of death, a failing star. They are as if they are going to vanish now. Above was the unseen balance of his fate, obviously. Savitri has entered into the house of meditation. She has kindled the yajna. She has acquired the necessary power. She has become the leader of the march. She has become the leader of the march. Yet, the balance is uncertain. Where it is going to tilt? Unseen balance of his fate. So that is a dramatic moment which has arrived here so far. You see. This is the most beautiful description in whole of Savitri, one of the most beautiful, you see, occultly luminous, occultly charged, occultly dense, bringing out the full efficacy of the power of yajna. Yajna is something, see how, you can see how much importance is there present for the yajna, if it is done properly. You see the yajna being performed by God Himself with His spouse, the Divine Shakti, sitting there. It is they who are offering the ahutis to the fire.
But faster now all fled means they are, the two of them try to get away from Savitri.
No, the power of it, they are moving, speeding up.
Faster now all fled.
All means even the ambience which is the twilight, etc., shuddering, everything.
Oh, not Savitri.
Everything. All includes that.
Oh, including her.
All includes everything. All, of course, here means both, but at the same time, he says even the ambient air and wind was shuddering and ecstasy and all that thing, completely fled with that power, you see. Faster now, all fled, as he perturbed because of her clearness of her soul. Means the mist which is there, the vagueness which is there, the twilight is there, everything. Shall we begin the next canto? Huh? Or you want to ask something? Okay. Yeah. is a long canto. Yeah. It has, 972 lines, one of the longest cantos. 972 lines in one canto. 5 sections, 245 sentences. There are 5 sections now here, 143 to 143, 44, 45, 46, 47. 5 sections. And total number of sentences is 245. And the total number of lines, 972. So again, see, my theory is becoming perfect. Although there are long sentences, short sentences and all that thing, on average, there are 4 lines per sentence. On average. You have got 972 lines, 245 sentences. So the average is 3.97 per sentence line. 3.97. I have sent you also the list of revisions which are there in this canto. You see, there are a couple of important revisions. Most of them are of the trivial kind, but there are a couple of them which are significant. You see. But we'll not go much into those details. You see. Yeah.
I have a question about the revisions.
Pardon?
Revisions which happen in the ashram afterward. Do you think it's a betrayal?
Which?
The revisions.
No, you see, the
Do you think
review,
it's so painful?
it is painful. Actually, what they should have done is there are differences, there are certain ambiguities also. All those things we granted. What they should have done is they should have simply listed all the versions which are available and compile the data and keep as it is instead of introducing them in the text here. That is the argument I have been making right from the beginning, since 1988. You see. I have been insisting upon that. Finally, I withdrew. Yeah. No. I said, you see, all right, you have got a certain valid point, but that is not the way of doing. You first list them out and let each editor have his own choice to justify what is what not. You are not listening out, you are not giving the reasons why you are making changes. If the texts are available, different texts, then people will judge which is more appropriate for him. Yeah. Yeah. Now you are blocking all that thing completely. So in that sense, that is a wrong thing they have done, you see. And had to fall apart and then all those consequences. That's all right here. That's all right. Well, actually, in a way, we could not but only publish the first edition because of copyright. Because of the copyright, we could publish only 1950-51 edition of Savitri. Copyright was there when it elapsed, then only it came out. Yeah, copyright. Now, you can also publish 1954 edition. Its copyright also has elapsed. Without any permission. You can publish now in the 1954 also. See. But it has no relevance, 1954. So go entirely by what had come out at the time of Sri Aurobindo himself. That is the basic text. And then you give all your data, this thing, that thing, etc., etc. You see. We are struggling for that. Let us have some access to the original text. No. It should be open data actually. Yeah, you scan them and exactly. Yeah, and open. Yeah. In the archives, make a room available and let people go and study there. Yeah.
Instead they're sitting on it like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, exactly.
So easy to digitalize it.
You,
it is
in fact, I mean, anybody will be able to help you for scanning and all whatever required, whatever facilities are required. That is not a problem at all. You see. Well, we'll have to wait for some more time for that to happen. I had given a complete document in 1988 when we were meeting and discussing all that thing, how an archives should be organized completely. I had given the example of Niels Bohr archives in Copenhagen. The way in which it is organized, how people go there and study and read, whatever manuscript you want, they are made available to you there, you see. I had given the complete plan of Copenhagen archives of Niels Bohr and said, this is how a modern archive is organized. Don't keep anything hidden, secret from you. So all the documents are there, papers are there, letters are there, Niels Bohr's letters are there. He had played a very crucial role during the time of World War II when the atom bomb was being developed by the Germans at that time. And it was he whose effort really promoted the entire effort in England, in US. Within 1 week, they carried out the experiment, saw the feasibility of an atom bomb, and they started building up the atomic pile. So Niels Bohr's role in that process was very crucial. He was a person who was a respected scientist by everybody, by friends, by enemies, everybody. So he had friends in Germany, he had friends in Holland, he had friends in England, he had friends in US, everywhere, and his words carried weight, you see. And all those papers are available in Niels Bohr archives for study. So I said, look, this is how an archive is organized.
But
Yeah.
my question is, for example, someone has only the last version of Savitri. Is it a problem for him? Because there are many distortions, many changes.
Yeah.
What do you think? What is your feeling? Is this Savitri version?
I tell you one thing. I tell you one thing. For instance, as an example, you take book 1, half of Savitri. Sorry, part 1. 24 cantos, half of Savitri. Now that was practically written by Sri Aurobindo in his own handwriting in 1944, completely, you see. But then it didn't stop with that. A fair copy of it was made by Nirod Baran in his registers. That fair copy was read out to Sri Aurobindo, and in the fair copy he has made addition, changes, dictations. It was typed by Nalini. Typescripts were read out again to Sri Aurobindo, and again revision, changes, additions, subtractions are there in typescript. It went at least 3 times to the press. 3 times. It came out in the ashram journals, Pat Mandir in Calcutta, Advent in ashram and all that thing. During Sri Aurobindo's time, 1946 to 1950, most of those parts have come out as fascicles and as cantos in different journals of the ashram during Sri Aurobindo time. So when they were sent to the press, again the press proofs were read out to Sri Aurobindo. He made changes, corrections, this thing, that thing, etc. Even at that point, you see, the last one. And in 1950, when the full edition of part 1 was published, it was on 3rd September 1950, the book had come out in the physical form. Sri Aurobindo had seen it himself, part 1. So again, it went through at least 3 or 4 stages of of printing and proofreading through him. And at every point, there were changes made. Now, in most of the cases, the proofs which were read out to Sri Aurobindo and in which the corrections were made, they don't exist. Those proofs, they don't exist, proofs don't exist.
Why not?
They are not there. People, press people have the disposal of dismissals.
You think that they're thrown away?
Yeah, thrown away. Yeah, yeah. They're not. They at that time they didn't realize the importance of that.
You think they didn't realize or they did it in purpose?
No, there are number of important things in the proofs. See what is there, for instance, in the last typescript, and what has come out from the print was only in between the proof. So if the changes are there, it means that the changes were made in the proof. And those proofs don't exist. They just don't exist now. So it is very difficult to say this is Sri Aurobindo are making constant changes every time there, you see.
At least the first part is we should not touch anything.
Exactly. But you give the data for me. I accept that. Don't touch the part, you see. If there is the dropping of a fly on part 1, keep that dropping of the fly on it as it is.
But the last version, the one revisioned by Sri Aurobindo in September, this one it was also changed, no?
Yes, everything was sent.
But why they changed it if Sri Aurobindo himself he did it?
No, you see, missing proof is the one missing link. We can't help it there now. So I will say only that what is there, for instance, the typescript which must have gone to the press, that is there, and the difference between the typescript and the printed text which is there, it means that the change has taken place during the proof. But there are relatively small instances of that kind. Although, I mean, in principle they exist, but they are not too many of that type. In one case, when the proofs were sent to Sri Aurobindo, the press asked him, should this comma be there or not? Some comma was there, so they asked a query to Sri Aurobindo whether the comma should be there or not. Sri Aurobindo took the opportunity of that and dictated 20 more lines. So what do you do? See?
Yeah, put the line in.
Yeah.
And you know which line?
Well, I can't say now, but it's there. Maybe I'm slightly exaggerating, but it's there, you see. It's a fact.
It's a pity he has a computer.
Yeah, it is just right. No Xerox, no photocopying, no computers. That is, it's all right, you see.
That would have eased up some.
Yeah.
Everything was like,
Yeah. So it happened like that. So that is the unfortunate part. But anyway, I still feel the safest, the proper, the technical, scientific way is go by the 1950 as it is and give whatever data you have in a proper compiled manner. You see, there are instances, that famous line, God's above and nature's soul below, Canto 2, nature's soul below. Now, nature's apostrophe, S-O-U-L, so God's, the whole fight between Yama and Savitri is being seen, observed from God's above and nature's soul below. They are witnessing the fight between Yama and Savitri. That is the whole purpose. Now, they have made it nature, soul below. Instead of nature's soul. Nature, soul. Hearing mistake, something. So they have made it in the revised edition, nature, soul below. Now, the argument is that this line appears in something like 24 drafts. And everywhere it is nature, soul below. N-A-T-U-R-E, S-O-L-E below. In all the drafts. But then when it comes to the Patmandir version, there is a change. And that missing link is not there. Sri Aurobindo has made corrections, there changes there in that. There you find suddenly nature's soul below. So they say that look, Shevandu, what we have in Shevandu handwriting 24 times is nature, soul. They are ignoring what has happened in the last proof stage, nature's soul below. So like that, so these details have to come out, you see. This is what I have been fighting for, struggling. Quickly read a couple of sentences of the next canto. It's a narrative, a short narrative, of just 16 sentences of the first section. There came a slope that slowly downward sank. It slipped towards a stumbling grey descent. Now he's describing the whole march, you see. The dim heart marvel of the ideal was lost. Its crowding wonder of bright, delicate dream and vague, half-limbed sublimity she had left. Thoughts fell towards lower level, hard and tense, it passion for some crude reality. The twilight floated still, but changed its hues, and heavily swayed the less delightful dream. It settled in tired masses on the air, its symbol colors tuned with duller reds, and almost seemed a lurid mist of day. Straining taut and dire besieged her heart. Heavy her sense grew with a dangerous low, and sadder, greater sounds were in her ears. And through stern breaking saw the lambent glare, her vision caught a hurry of driving plain, and cloudy mountain and white tawny stream, and cities climbed in minarets and towers towards an unveiling changeless sky. Long quays and carts and harbors white with sail challenged her sight a while and then were gone. So it is a kind of a natural scene she is describing further down now. See. Amidst them, all these things, traveled toiling multitudes in ever-shifting perishable gloom. It foiled cinema of lit shadowy shame, enveloped in the grey mantles of dream. Imagining meanings in life's heavy drift, they trusted in the uncertain environment and waited for death to change their spirit's ascent. A savage din of labor and a tramp of armored life and a monotonous hum of thoughts and acts that ever were the same, as if the dull reiterated drone of a great brute machine beset her soul, a grey, dissatisfied rumor like a ghost of the moaning of a loud and quiet sea. A huge, inhuman, cyclopean voice, a Babel builder's song towering to heaven, a throb of engines and a clang of tools brought the deep undertone of labor's pain. As when pale lightning stare a tortured sky, high overhead cloud-rimmed series of flares, chasing like smoke from a red funnel driven the false creations of an ignorant mind. Drifting, she saw, like pictured fragments of flame, phantoms of human thought and backward whole, the shapes of nature and the arts of man, the philosophies and disciplines and laws, and the dead spirit of old society, constructions of the Titan and the worm as if lost remnants of forgotten light. Before her mind, there played with trailing wing, dim revelations and delivering world, emptied of their mission and their strength to save. The messages of the evangelist God, voices of prophets, scripts of vanishing creed. Each in its hour eternal claimed went by, ideals, systems, sciences, poems, crafts, tirelessly they perished and again recurred, sought restlessly by some creative power. But all were dreams crossing an empty wall. ascetic voices called of lonely seer, on mountain summits or on river bank, or from the desolate heart of forest glade, seeking heaven's rest or the spirit's wordless peace, or in bodies motionless like statues, fixed in trance sessions or the sleepless thought, sat sleeping soul, and this too was a dream. All things the past has made and slain were there, its lost forgotten form, that one that lived, and all the present loves as new revealed, and all the hopes the future brings that fail, already caught and spent in efforts vain, repeated fruitlessly, age after age. Unwearied, all returned, insisting still, because of joy in the anguish of pursuit, and joy in labor, and to win and lose, and joy to create and keep, and joy to kill. The rolling cycles passed and came again, brought the same toys and the same barren end, forms ever new and ever old, appalling revolution to the world. The rolling cycles passed and came again. So that is how it keeps on repeating. We'll take it up again next time.